Welcome back. This is the second episode of Underrated. And the reason why I chose this album is because this particular band, whenever I think of the term underrated, I think of this band. Because I think Dog Fashion Disco are one of the most underrated bands I've ever known, and I've known about them for a long time. This album of theirs, Anarchists of Good Taste, is, I'm not going to say their best album, because they have so many and it's hard to decide on which is the best, but it's definitely underrated. So the album was released in 2001. The album cover is very odd. Disclaimer that I should point out right now is that they re-recorded this album in 2018. And I don't know that re-recorded version very well. I have listened to it, and I'm okay with them re-recording it. It's not like I have some moral objection to it or anything. It's just this is the version I know really well, and I've been listening to it for the last 25 years. Wow. So this album is a lot of fun. It's not for everyone, I will say. I think there is a reason why Dog Fashion Disco have never gotten huge, and I think it's because they're quite weird.
Pretty faces, pretty hip. Bodies had to drain and drip.
But in the best possible way, as far as I'm concerned. I discovered them randomly back in the day, similar with the Willhaven album I covered on the previous episode. Probably when I was about 14 or something. They didn't hit me at first. It was one that took a little while for me to appreciate, because they were just so weird, but they were really heavy and dark. So that got my interest, and then once I got over the weird clownish circus type elements in their music, I was on board. The second song on the album, 9 to 5 at the Morgue, is one of their songs that I always think of when I think of Dog Fashion Disco. That's the song that my mind immediately jumps to. And on this album, they have a feature with Serj Tankian from System of a Down.
Sinking forward seems like forever.
Which I always thought was kind of weird. Like, System of a Down in 2001 is one of the biggest bands in the world, and yet Serj is on this. Maybe this came out a little bit before Toxicity. I don't see him doing this after Toxicity, really. This band is tiny compared to what System of a Down would become. Everything about Dog Fashion Disco and this album is unconventional. I think that would be fair to say. Unconventional tuning, unconventional time signatures, unconventional melodies, sections of songs like being in what upon first or second listen seem like they're in the wrong place. It's very unconventional in every sense, but if you're up for that kind of bizarre approach to music structuring and everything, then this will be for you. And this album, it is dark, it is heavy, but it's also not taking itself very seriously, which is something that I, to this day, really appreciate. Because they have songs called Pour Some Urine On Me, for example.
Open the floodgates and rain down on me, unhealthy and ugly.
Inbounds the scenery.
A Corpse is a Corpse, Mushroom Cult. They're quite cartoonish names, and even their videos, while they are quite dark on the surface, they're also very silly. If you give them a chance, if you try to get past just the heaviness, you will find a little bit of cartoonishness to this band and this album in particular. And actually, two of my favorite songs of this album are right at the end, which is unusual, but I think it's because they're right at the end that they stand out to me, which is Pink Riot and Albino Rhino. Yeah, Dog Fashion Disco have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 albums. And that isn't including ones that they re-recorded, which is another 4 albums. They've been busy. They've been really, really busy. And there's another band called Polka Dot Cadaver, which also has been pretty busy over the years, but it's sort of like an alternate version of Dog Fashion Disco. So if you like Dog Fashion Disco, if you like what you've heard so far, then by all means go and listen to more Dog Fashion Disco, I implore you. But also Polka Dot Cadaver is another recommendation for you. Yeah, the other projects of Dog Fashion Disco, like I've already mentioned, Polka Dot Cadaver, Knives Out, El Creepo, Celebrity Sex Scandal, and it's sort of, you know, crossover with different members and different bands, but it's all the same like collective of guys, right? And despite all of this, there's still, like, no one's heard of Dog Fashion Disco apart from, it's kind of one of those things where if you know, you know. I don't know, because I've known about them for so long, and because if I go into the comments section on one of their YouTube videos, for example, I'm going to find like-minded people who are like, how has this band never become bigger? Maybe you, if you're not impressed with what you've heard, maybe tell me why, because I'd be interested to know why, from the perspective of someone who's just found out about them. And if you have just found out about them and you think they're amazing, then obviously this video did its job. Anarchists of Good Taste, I think, is a good place to start with Dog Fashion Disco. You could then, if you enjoy that one, move on to the next one, which is Committed to a Bright Future. That one I feel is a little more... I was going to use the word poppy then, that's not what I mean at all. A little softer, a little less weird, but saying a Dog Fashion Disco album is a little less weird doesn't really mean much. Anytime I don't listen to this album for more than 6 months, I kind of kick myself. Obviously there's a lot of music I listen to, and I can't listen to everything all the time. Dog Fashion Disco in general, and this album in particular, I'm always like, why didn't I listen to this last week? You know, it's one of those. As you may know about me, I do listen to music in the gym a lot, and Dog Fashion Disco can be good in the gym, but I feel like a compiled playlist of their heaviest songs would be better than listening to the album from start to finish, because they do have some kind of cinematic and atmospheric songs that are sort of telling a sort of short story sometimes. It's not really music per se, it's like the soundtrack to a scene in a movie, which doesn't really work in the gym. But when they go heavy, they go so heavy and it's so much fun, but it's not heavy to the point, it's not, you know, Napalm Death heavy. It's quite palatable, I think, for the average metal listener. It's not gonna blow anyone's mind in terms of how heavy it is, but if you're into heavy stuff, then this will probably work for you in some capacity at least. You'll have a few songs for your Spotify playlist at the very least. So yeah, Dog Fashion Disco, Anarchists of Good Taste, strong recommendation from me. And if you've never heard of Dog Fashion Disco, then you're welcome. And if you already do know them and agree with me, then comment below, please. If this is the first video of mine that you've watched, then do subscribe. There'll be more of this sort of thing coming. And if you check my channel, there's a bunch of other longer reviews than this. And if you are already subscribed, then thank you very much for being here. I have still not thought of how to end videos yet, though. So I'm just going to say, go away.